Ahoy mateys, it's Rogue here and welcome to another amazing video on the channel. For today I'm hitting you with the Plunder Patroll Fiendsmith deck profile. Yes, Fiendsmith is meta, we are Rogue tier, that is why we have put it into our favorite pirate deck in Plunder Patrol. These are two decks that work super well together, and I don't think there's enough coverage on this type of deck. I think this is something that could be explored more, and I'm putting out a basis for you guys to build upon and let me know if you see some good success with. I've tested this quite a lot, and I think the deck is very powerful, to be honest with you. Not a lot of people still know what the Plunder Patrol cards do, surprisingly. And Fiendsmith, well, we all know what it's doing. It is destroying the meta game as we speak. But if you do enjoy this type of content, make sure you do smash that like button, subscribe if you enjoy my beautiful face, and comment down below what do you think of the Ahoy mateys. Let's get straight into the deck profile. So starting off the deck profile, I'm sorry that this video is a little late. I've had to do a re-record, as when I originally uploaded this video the audio was messed up, so please do let me know in the comments if the audio has been fixed, and hopefully we have a good profile for you guys. So we have triple of the Whitebeard, the Plunder Patrol Helm. This card is fantastic because not only does it have a quick effect during the opponent's turn that lets you special summon a ship from your extra deck, it actually also has an insane effect when it's sent from the hand or field to the graveyard, that it just basically special summons any Plunder Patrol out of the deck. You are Plunder Patrol locked, however, it is for the rest of the turn and not for the whole turn, meaning that you usually tend to use this effect after you've resolved your Fiendsmith combos, and if you've gone for an alternate line, you can also do that as well. So Whitebeard, make sure that he is the last thing you do, because you will be Plunder Patrol locked, or sometimes if you just want to play the Plunders, you can start off with him instead. But he's a fantastic card. I play 3 of him because I just want to be seeing him in my hand pretty much all the time. Same goes for the Black Eyes, the Plunder Patrol Sea Guide. This card is fantastic for Plunders. It does have that Plunder Patrol lock as well, however it works very well with Whitebeard. If you don't know what it does, it's effectively a free special summon while adding a Plunder Patrol monster back from the graveyard to your hand, which is really relevant because all of your big ships actually need to pitch a Plunder Patrol card to have their effects. So very important. It also has an effect that when it's sent from the field or hand to the graveyard, you can target a Plunder Patrol monster card in your spell and trap zone and special summon it in defense. So it also gives you extra body presence, which helps actually pushing for game or for link climbing. For a 2 of here, we have double of the Golden Hair and double of the Bluebeard. I play 2 of each because I think while these cards are very strong, we don't want to be opening multiples in our hand. So that is exactly the reasoning why I'm not playing 3 and I'm just playing 2. So Golden Hair can special summon herself from the hand by sending one other Plunder Patrol monster card from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard, which is pretty nice, helps you get extra bodies on the board. And if it's in the graveyard, you can discard 1 card and special summon this card from the graveyard. However, you are Plunder Patrol locked when that happens, so it's not actually that much synergy with something like a Fiendsmith Blurry in that case, because you are Plunder Patrol locked. However, still a fantastic card, and I play 2 copies. Bluebeard is effectively one of our best extenders, because if you control a Plunder Patrol monster, it just special summons itself from the hand, and it doesn't lock you. Also, if this card is sent from the hand or monster zone to the graveyard, you can discard 1 card and draw 1. That works very well if you open the Lurry too. And for the last monster, we have 1 Redbeard, the Plunder Patrol matey. He's a weaker version of Whitebeard in terms of he has the quick effect during the opponent's turn. We play 1 copy because it's nice to summon him out the deck in some combo lines, so you have the extra disruption during your opponent's turn. However, he's not nearly as good as the other Plunder Patrol monsters in my opinion. But we play 1 copy, and if he's sent from the field or hand to the graveyard, he's basically able to equip himself to a Plunder Patrol monster on the field, which can come up sometimes. And for the last Plunder Patrol cards, double of the field spell. You may be wondering why not 3. This deck searches Plunder Patrol cards a lot. Everything is hyper searchable, and the field spell, we don't want to be opening multiple copies because once we see 1, we have it in rotation forever, because if they do outer and it's in the graveyard, you can bounce it back basically to the field by returning 1 Plunder Patrol card in the spell and trap zone. So just keep that in mind. Once we see 1, we don't really need to see any more. If they banish 1, we have the second copy. And you can discard a card, add a Plunder Patrol card from your deck to your hand. Works very well with stuff like Fabled Lurry, which is, again, some of the synergies that this deck does share. It also gives Plunder Patrol monsters you control 500 for each Plunder Patrol card, which actually helps making them pretty big and not that easy to out from battle. For our discard extenders, one Ice Jade, Ran Angerine, and one of the Deep Sea Fiend. I'm only playing one of each because these cards are a bit resource intensive. They always require you to pitch one card. And I just think playing one copy of each is better than playing multiples of one or multiples of each, because you just want options in this deck, and opening multiple of the same card is something that we don't necessarily want to do unless it's something like Whitebeard, because we kind of need every card to count in a deck like this. Ice Jade Ran Angerine is fantastic against stuff like in the Malice matchup, because it makes basically is a one card Synchro 10, and the Synchro 10 you make is the Ice Jade one, which does protect your stuff from card effect destruction and banishment, which is actually pretty nice. Deep Sea Fiend is a funny card because it is a full combo by itself into the Fiendsmith line, because you can just make it a light fiend via its effect, and you can also special summon it to your opponent's field if you wish to give them a light monster to be able to summon your lease, and then from there you not only draw a card but you go full Plunder Patrol combo as well. So either way, if you summon it to your field or summon it to your opponent's field, you can basically go full Plunder Patrol and Fiendsmith combo. So you may think, wow, why not play more than one? Again, this card needs to basically discard and declare, so we don't want to be seeing too many of these in our hand, even though this is a discard deck, as for the reasons I mentioned before. And Angerine has to discard water monsters, which, yes, we play a couple. The Fiendsmith cards are not water monsters, so we've got to keep that in mind as well. So we've had a lot of talk about them. Let's bring them up. Triple of the Fiendsmith Engraver. This card is cracked. You can discard this card, add a Fiendsmith spell trap from your deck to your hand. You can target a Fiendsmith equipped card, send it to the grave, along with one monster on the field. And if this card is in the graveyard, you can shuffle one other Light Fiend and special summon it. This card does everything for the archetype. If this card gets hit to 1, the engine still works perfectly fine, so there is hope for Fiendsmith in after the next ban list. We have one of the Lacrima, the Crimson Tears. This is your target to summon off the Fiendsmith Link 1. Effectively, on summon, it's going to just be a Foolish Burial for a Fiendsmith card. You can send Engraver, but you can also send your Fiendsmith in Paradise, which actually isn't in this profile because I don't own a copy, believe it or not. But that is something that, when we get to it, I will recommend what card you will be taking out for the Fiendsmith in Paradise, because that card is insane. And again, during your opponent's turn, it does also have a quick effect, being able to target a Fiendsmith Link monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, special summon that monster. So usually summon the Link 1, and then use the Link 1 effect to summon her out directly from the deck for a free body, and another Foolish Burial. Fantastic card. The Fabled Luri, this card is amazing because Engraver searches a Fiendsmith Tract, which I'll probably put them side by side because they go together very well. And your Fiendsmith Tract adds a Light Fiend from your deck to your hand and discards one card. You add Luri, discard Luri. That will actually trigger the Luri, because if this card is discarded, you special summon it. And it's a Light Fiend, allowing you to make your Link 1, which is basically all that needs to be said. Fiendsmith Tract does have a fusion effect, however, in this build we don't necessarily use that because it's a bit difficult to pull off, but just keep in mind that maybe 1 in 50 games you do have that option to just hard fusion into a Fiendsmith. We play double Fiendsmith Sanct. This should be 1 Sanct and 1 Fiendsmith in Paradise. However, I don't own 1 Fiendsmith in Paradise. So for now, instead of that, I'm just playing double Sanct because seeing more ways into Fiendsmith isn't bad. Although I prefer the Fiendsmith in Paradise from testing, which I do all my testing online, which is probably why you're wondering, yo, why don't you own the card? Fiendsmith Sanct isn't bad either. It's not great as a 2-of. It's good as a 1-of, but as a 2-of, it's not that great. However, we do what we can because we haven't got the Fiendsmith in Paradise. Once I get that card, I will simply drop 1 Fiendsmith Sanct and play the 1-on-1, which is, I think, is a better ratio. What does Fiendsmith Sanct do? If you control no face-up monsters or only face-up monsters you control are Light Fiend, you special summon a token. Also, you cannot declare attacks with monsters for the rest of the turn except with Fiends, and an entire deck is basically Fiend. It doesn't lock you either, which is pretty important, and if a Fiendsmith monster you control is destroyed by opponent's card effect while this card is in your grave, you can reset this card. So it's actually pretty clutch, pretty nice card that not a lot of decks play. However, yes, you take out 1 copy and you play the Fiendsmith in Paradise. If you don't know what that does, send it to the graveyard with your Lacrima, and then you basically can send the Desiree from the extra deck to the graveyard in those situations where you're just hand trapped a lot and you couldn't get to the fusion. And then when Desiree hits the graveyard, it's basically going to be able to shuffle back a Light Fiend and then send 1 card on the field to the grave. So that is why we play the Fiendsmith in Paradise. For the hand traps, Triple Ash, because broken hand trap is always broken, and ever since she came out, she's basically just been the best hand trap to play, alongside a specific trap card that we're going to be showcasing now as well. Those two are just always very, very good. Triple Veiler, because we want that effect negation. You can arguably play something like Fulwalos as well. I know that Fulwalos or Perulia even, because Perulia is a water. However, I don't own any of the Fulwalos cards yet. I will be looking to pick them up in Quarter Century Rare. But until then, I'm playing the Veilers, and the Veilers does a good job because in combination with a card like Nibiru and Imperm, you have basically 6 cards that have instant effect negation, and Nibiru that just punishes any board that doesn't make an Omni Negate. And if they do make an Omni Negate, 1 Nibiru plus Imperm Availer is usually always a full board cleanup. And for the last 2 hand traps, taking us to 14, we play double of the Bestials. These not only serve as hand traps, but they're actually pretty clutch engine pieces too, because Magnamut searches the Baldrake and also acts as a level 6 for us to basically use for synchro summons with our Fiendsmith stuff into Chaos Angel, and extra bodies of course for the Fiendsmith plays. So fantastic card. Baldrake I'm playing over the Druid Worm because I feel like it has great synergy with a card like Lacrima. Lacrima can not only special summon herself every single turn, but if you have during the opponent's turn, if you have a Baldrake, you can actually make use of that Lacrima by tributing it and negating an opponent's summon, and as long as you can keep bringing back Lacrima, you can keep fueling Baldrakes for free interruptions, so why not play it? And for the last 3 cards, taking us up to 40 cards, we have triple of the Forbidden Droplet. This card actually works very well with both engines, Fiendsmith and Plunder Patrol, which is why I think it's the board breaker to play in this deck, and basically gives us some options too against stuff like the Raziel matchups where maybe they set up a detonator and we can't do much about it. A droplet will answer it, which is pretty nice. So that is it for the main deck. That is 40 cards. Let's now go on into the extra deck. Starting on with the extra deck, let's get into the Plunder Patrol monsters, as they are probably the coolest part of the extra deck because we've seen a lot of Fiendsmith recently. Double of the Blackbeard, and this card is absolutely fantastic, taking 2 monsters, including a Plunder. So thankfully it doesn't take 2 Plunder Patrol monsters, meaning that you can go Fiendsmith combo, be left with your Sequencer on field, normal summon Whitebeard, link both into Blackbeard, and basically with your Whitebeard effect engraved, kickstart your whole Plunder combo. Fantastic card. If you don't know what it does, you target an effect monster you control, and you special summon 1 Plunder Patrol monster from your extra deck with the same attribute as a monster your opponent controls or in their graveyard. You equip this card to it, and you draw 1 card, and yes, he can do himself, which is incredible. For the other ships, we have 1 Lys, 1 Bran, 1 Moark, and 1 Yord. We play 1 of each. Why? Because Lys is a light fiend, so he is infinitely recyclable with the Fiendsmith engine. He's also probably the best ship, and the one we're going to be trying to summon most of the time. He is a monster effect negation by pitching a Plunder Patrol card, and then he rotates your deck for any Plunder Patrol card. Yord is the fire ship, and he is your quick effect back row banishment. Moark is your dark attributed ship, and he is your monster banishment. And Yord is actually a very interesting combo piece, able to summon to your field a light token, a light fiend token, making it a very easy way of not only getting into Plunder combo, but also bridging into the Fiendsmith combo too. Which is also why we don't play the Link 2 Moon Maiden either, because we have Yord, and we also have the Deep Sea Fiend as well, that both bridge very, very well. For the Fiendsmith cards, 1 Agumde, 1 Sequence, 1 Requiem, 1 Desiree, and 1 Princess. This is the Fiendsmith package. It's actually very, very compact and very good. Not only does it create disruptions and it allows you to send opponents' cards to the graveyard, it actually is very recyclable as well. The Necrocrypt Princess we play because Necrocrypt Princess with, for example, our Plunder Patrol field spell just gives us free draws. If we open Tract and we have access to Engraver, we can actually just make Princess use Engraver effect, search for something, and then get a draw as well. So Princess is fantastic. It also allows us to make our DD High Wave King Caesar as well, which is also part of the Fiendsmith package because it's actually a level 6 too. So 1 Fiendsmith Engraver and 1 Necroequip make your DD High Wave King Caesar, which is also still a very strong card. We play the Desiree, which is of course the Fiendsmith card that's probably one of the most known at the moment. It's the quick effect negate of up to 2 cards, because usually it will be linked with the Sequentia. The Fiendsmith Requiem, which is the card that kickstarts all of our combos. The Sequentia, which helps us for our fusion into Desiree. And our Fiendsmith Agumde, which is actually very, very clutch. And not a lot of people were playing this card originally, but if you don't know what it does, is once per turn quick effect, target a light non-link fiend monster, usually your Desiree, summon it and equip itself. Really good into if your combo has been disrupted and you have a Desiree in the graveyard, you can climb your way into an Agumde and then during your opponent's turn just summon the Desiree back. So just keep that in mind. It actually helps a lot against stuff like Nibiru. And for the last couple of cards, I'm just going to put them on top so we don't have to move the camera. 1 SP Little Knight, 1 Chaos Angel, and 1 of the Ice Jade Gamir Agerine. I think this is a very super solid extra deck, very compact. If there's anything I would change, I don't actually think there is, to be honest with you, which I don't say a lot. I think this extra deck is pretty perfect for a deck like this. I think every card serves a purpose. We play double Blackbeard because it's the one that we summon the most by far. Every other of the ship is at 1. The Fiendsmith stuff you can always just recycle back. And the SP Little Knight, you only ever really need 1. The Chaos Angel, again, you only ever really need 1. And the Ice Shade Gamir Agerine, we only ever play 1 as well. So that is the extra deck. I'm actually going to show you a side deck. Keep in mind that my side decking is probably the weakest part of my Yu-Gi-Oh game. I'm not great when it comes to making side decks. This is something I've actually made very quickly, as I do have a remote duel tournament coming up today, even though I'm sick. So let's see how I do. If you guys want to be part of it, make sure that you do smash that subscribe button, become a subscriber, and then join my free Discord to have weekly remote duel games. We do play for cash money prizing, and some of them are also free. And you also get to appear on the YouTube channel too, which is pretty nice. For the side deck, triple of the Artifact Lancia. I feel that this card is staple to be one of, if not the most played side deck card at the moment, this format. So just keep that in mind. This card is absolutely cracked against Malice, and I think you need to just basically just take the hit and just play 3. For the other cards, keep in mind I don't have the Mulcharmy cards. I'm playing triple Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries with 1 of the Raziel Detonator. I think Ghost Reaper has some potential this format because not only do we already play the Fiendsmith Link 1, but we also can side in the Detonator. And the Reaper is really good in cases where our opponent dedicates 2 monster slots into a Moon Maiden, and then on summon we can basically use Reaper, get rid of their Fiendsmith Link 1, and they just use 2 bodies to go into a Link monster that does absolutely nothing for the cost of 1 card, which is incredible. Against Raziel as well, if you hit the Detonator, they suffer a lot in terms of disruption, and the overall power of the deck is severely decreased. So I feel like at least testing the Reaper for now is something I'm going to be doing. For the spells, we have double of the triple Tactics Thrust, because Bestials are very prevalent as well this format. So I feel like having Thrust in the side is just a big punish against your opponent. For our Thrust targets, 1 Lightning Storm, 1 Duster. I don't know how I feel about these ratios. I'm going to be honest with you, it's just because I own Starlight Lightning Storms that I try and fit them into the side most of the time. I would definitely not play 2 of the Lightning Storm, because why would you do that when we have Duster at 1? Just play 1 of each. This can act as a Raigeki or Duster, and Duster is just always a Duster, obviously. And for the going first target, we play the 1-dimensional barrier, which is a fantastic side-in tech. Well, not tech, it's kind of being overshadowed at the moment by a card like Solemn Strike, which, goddamn, the glare is bad. Let me adjust that. A card like Solemn Strike is taking over stuff like D-Barrier at the moment, because D-Barrier doesn't do much against Fiendsmith. However, into stuff like Raziel, it's still good because it shuts off effectively over half of their deck. And Solemn Strike could be Solemn Judgment. However, I feel Strike at the moment is very good, especially when they do those big Malice Link plays and you just negate the summon. And even if they banish it, they can't come back because the summon was negated. So I feel like Solemn Strike and Judgment are making a comeback this format. So if you do enjoy this type of deck profile, if you do enjoy the Rogue Tier channel, if you simply enjoy my voice or my face in the intro, make sure you do subscribe to be up to date basically with all of the latest profiles. As I said in the beginning, the intro was recorded, the video was published, and I've had to do a rerun over the voice because there was some audio issues. So please do forgive me that this video will be coming out not on the Monday but on the Tuesday. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Smash the like button, and hopefully I will be back to full strength by Friday for our next upload. I'll see you then.